sizes and shapes. We can observe them better by staining the bacterial cells. Staining helps in the identification of bacteria. The Gram staining method is one of the most important staining techniques in microbiology. It is named after the Danish bacteriologist who originally devised this method in 1844. He is none other than Hans Christian Gram. Gram staining is almost always the first test performed for the identification of bacteria. It is very simple to perform. Gram staining helps in differentiating bacteria based on the composition of the cell wall. Depending on the cell wall properties, these cells will either be stained purple or pink by this method. It is therefore called a differential staining method. During Gram staining, the bacteria that are stained purple are termed Gram-positive. The bacteria that are stained pink are termed Gram-negative. The terms positive and negative have nothing to do with the electrical charge. It simply designates two distinct morphological groups of bacteria. Now let's take a look at the differences in cell wall structure between the Gram-positive and Gram-negative bacteria. The Gram-positive cell wall is thick and consists of numerous interconnecting layers of peptidoglycan. Also interwoven in the cell wall of Gram-positive bacteria are teichoic acids. Generally, 60 to 90% of the Gram-positive cell wall is peptidoglycan. The Gram-negative cell wall, on the other hand, contains a much thinner layer of peptidoglycan, only 2 or 3 layers thick. This is surrounded by an outer membrane composed of phospholipids, lipopolysaccharides, and lipoproteins. Only 10 to 20% of the Gram-negative cell wall is peptidoglycan. During Gram staining, the bacteria are first stained with the basic dye crystal violet. Both Gram-positive and Gram-negative bacteria are stained directly and appear purple. Let's take a closer look. The crystal violet enters the cell through the pores in the cell wall. Gram's iodine is then added. This acts as a mordant. It forms an insoluble crystal violet iodine complex. This complex helps in retaining the dye. Both Gram-positive and negative bacteria remain purple after this step. The cell is then treated with a decolorizer, a mixture of iodine and acetone which dissolves the lipid layer in both cell walls. The outer lipid membrane of the Gram-negative cell wall is dissolved by the decolorizer. The thin layer of peptidoglycan which remains behind is unable to retain the crystal violet iodine complex. The complex leaks out and the cell is decolorized. In the Gram-positive cell wall, decolorization results in the dehydration of the multilayered peptidoglycan. Dehydration causes the cell to shrink, resulting in closing of the pores on the cell wall. The crystal violet iodine complex is thus blocked and the cell retains the purple color. Finally, a counter stain of dilute carbolfuchsin is applied to the smear. The decolorized Gram-negative bacteria will take a new color and will appear pink. The Gram-positive bacteria remain purple. When can a Gram-positive organism be stained negative? Sometimes a Gram-positive organism can be stained negative. This is known as the Gram variable reaction. Several factors such as overheating during heat fixation, too much washing between the steps, and the length of decolorization is critical during Gram staining. A prolonged exposure to the decolorizing agent will remove all the stain. from both types of bacteria. Some gram-positive bacteria may lose the stain easily. An incorrectly stained smear may appear as a mixture of gram-positive and negative bacteria. Cultures more than 24 hours old may lose their ability to retain the crystal violet iodine complex. Some gram-positive bacteria are more able to retain the crystal violet iodine complex than the others. The gram reaction of an organism may also change after antimicrobial therapy. Here, gram-positive bacteria may appear gram variable. Now let's see how the gram stain is done. Here is what you need: a nichrome wire loop, a grease marker pencil, Bunsen burner, clean grease-free microscopic slides, sterile normal saline. We use 4 reagents for this stain. They are ammonium oxalate crystal violet, Lugol's iodine solution, decolorizer, which is a mixture of iodine and acetone, and the counterstain dilute carbol fuchsin. The first step in any staining procedure is to prepare a smear on a slide. A smear could be prepared from a slant culture, a broth culture, a culture plate, or from a clinical specimen. First, mark the glass slide on the side on which the smear is to be made. Heat the wire loop till red hot. Cool it for a couple of seconds. Use this wire loop to add a drop of sterile normal saline onto the center of the slide. Sterilize the wire loop again till red hot. Allow it to cool for a few seconds to avoid splattering of your culture. Select an isolated colony from the culture plate. Open the plate near the burner. The heat of the flame creates an aseptic environment around it. This ensures that your culture plate does not get contaminated. Transfer a minute amount of the selected colony onto the slide using the wire loop. Spread the culture on the drop of saline on the slide to an even thin film over a circle of 1.5 centimeters in diameter. The smear should be thin enough to dry completely within a few seconds. Visual detection of the culture on an inoculation loop indicates that too much of culture is taken. Air dry the slide till the smear is completely dried. The smear can be fixed over a gentle flame by passing the slide in and out of the flame with the smear side uppermost. The heat of the flame helps to adhere the bacterial cells onto the glass slide. This enables you to rinse the slide with water without washing off the smear. Heat may facilitate drying of the smear. Now place the slide on the rack and we are ready to stain it. Add crystal violet, the first stain, over the fixed smear. Let it stand for 30 seconds. Pour off the stain and gently rinse the excess stain with a slow stream of water. Note that the objective of this step is to wash off the excess stain, not the fixed cells. Keep the slide back on the rack after the washing step. Add Lugol's iodine solution onto the smear. Let it stand for 30 seconds. Pour off the iodine solution and rinse the slide with running water. Shake off the excess water from the surface. Place the slide back on the rack. Now, add the decolorizer solution onto the smear. Keep for 30 seconds. Pour off the decolorizer and rinse the slide with gentle running water. Shake off the excess water from the surface. Delay in washing off the decolorizer will cause excess decolorization of the gram-positive cells, and the purpose of the staining will be defeated. Place the slide on the rack. The counter stain dilute carbylfuchsin should be added now. Keep this for 30 seconds. Wash off the solution with water. Shake the slide well to remove excess water. The slide should be kept for air drying at an inclined angle with the smear side down. Now, this slide is ready to be observed under the microscope. First, place the slide on the microscopic stage. Ensure that the marked smear side is upwards. Focus under the low power objective. The low power objective lens will be marked as 10x. Now move the objective lens away from the smear. Add a drop of immersion oil onto the smear. Raise the condenser of the microscope and increase the light intensity. Once you have added oil onto the smear, you should use only the oil immersion objective, which gives 100 times magnification. Focus under the oil immersion lens. This lens will be marked as 100x. The smear you observe has been magnified 1000 times. That is 100 times magnification of the oil immersion objective and the 10 times magnification of the eyepiece. You can now visualize the bacterial cells. Note down the color, shape, and arrangement of these bacteria. Once you have finished, discard the slide into the discarding jar containing a disinfectant. After using the microscope, wipe off the oil from the surface of the oil immersion lens carefully using lens tissue paper. Wipe off any leftover oil from the stage and the focusing knobs.